All right, guys, we're back with another Men Against Nonsense. Again, this is a movement. This is not entertainment. We're here to have the serious conversations that men don't always have, or they have them in private. So let's do this publicly. One, let me ask you guys for forgiveness. I've been trying to figure this audio issue out. I'm using the audio interface and I'm using another program and trying to work those two together to get quality audio. And I noticed that the audio or the video clips have been extremely loud. Excuse me. It sounds fine to me when I'm using my headphones, but when I listen to a different device that doesn't have amplified audio, I see what people are saying in the comments. I am pretty low, so I do apologize. I just want to recommend that if you can just use headphones, it's a lot better. Until I figure this thing out, I'm still working and tweaking on that. That's just to put that out there. Anyway, we're getting back into our Judge Joe Brown series because, again, I think there was much to be gleaned from Judge Joe Brown's show. I believe he intended it to be that way in comparison to the other court shows that were out at the time. Now, we're going to get into this. So let's get rid of this logo and let's get into the video.
She came with proof.
We've never seen this until today.
So what made her leave?
You walking out of here?
All rise for Judge Joe Brown. Whoa! Experience, knowledge, and a passion for the truth.
I'm protecting womanhood and promoting manhood.
Bringing no-nonsense justice to Americans everywhere.
If you listen, you may learn something.
It's time for Judge Joe.
Real estate really is a dog-eat-dog world for an agent who becomes a snack for an Australian shepherd. Real estate agent Patricia Fowler is suing a potential client for medical bills from a dog bite. Defendant Oliver Waller claims the plaintiff is exaggerating her injuries. Now it's Joe time.
Ms. Fowler,
Yes.
you are suing Mr. Waller for damages. Let's see. You say that his Australian shepherd nipped your ankle during an interview at his home.
All right, before we get any further than that, let me say this, guys. Excuse me. Feeling a little bit under the weather these days. You shouldn't be engaged in anything that gives a woman cause to sue you. That's my philosophy. I hope it will become your philosophy one day. But again, when you're dealing with acting in public spaces, you should be cautious to engage in wrong words. Let me rethink that and say this right. I've said it before, I'll say it again. You should have a no-nonsense policy. That's the way you should operate your life, no nonsense. So you have to look at the environment and the situation and try to avoid the nonsense. Now, seeing where this is going, there's an issue with the dog, obviously. And as dog owners, I am not currently, but as a former dog owner, I know how much of a liability a dog, especially a wild dog, can be. A bigger dog can be an extreme liability. My dog liked to chase, for lack of a better term, like to chase junkies on his spare time. And unfortunately, at the time, I was living in a place where there were abundance of folks who like to abuse drugs. And so he found pleasure in jumping the fence and chasing them down the alley. And that was a big liability for me. I was traveling a lot at the time. I would get phone calls while I'm out of town. You know, your dog's out of the yard again. He's chasing people. So guys, just be responsible. Restrain your pets, especially if you know that your pets are wild. There's a Bible verse that talks about if you know your ox or I think it's something, but you know your ox is known to push. That means push with the horns. And someone is murdered by this wild animal, essentially, or untamed animal. You are responsible for damage caused. So I can kind of, get a glimpse at where this is going already. And if this is true, or if it was known that the dog was, is known to bite, then he is liable. That's just the position I come from as a man against nonsense. That's just what it is. And again, I understand everyone who listens to this content is not religious, but the morality is sound. Like, if you know your animal is known and prone to hurt someone else, then you either have to do something to tame that animal, or you have to know that you're going to be responsible for the damage that the animal causes, and be man about it. If that's the case, you shouldn't even have to take him to the court. He should have been already willing and able to make restitution for damages caused. But let's keep going.
It was a bite, not a nip.
All right, we shall see what the medicals reveal. Mr. Waller, you...
By the way, that doesn't look like a ferocious dog,
though. Principal basis for this action now before me for arbitration is because she's aggrieved that you did not retain her as your realtor.
I believe that's the case.
All right, now let's see. This occurred May 22nd, you say, of the year current. You were talking to the defendant, Mr. Waller, and his wife, Mrs. Waller, as a potential real estate agent.
That's right.
All right, tell me about it.
Well, I went over there on May 22nd, as you stated, and I was there for about an hour and a half, I believe. And the dog, the whole time I was there, the dog was bringing me toys, and I'm letting it fetch, and I'm throwing back and forth the toys to the dog. And as I was leaving and exiting the door, I was literally at the doorway, then the dog just lunged at me and bit me in the ankle. And Mr. Waller, even acknowledged that he thought the dog was going to bite me because the dog was hurting me. And then he also...
Well, if the dog was hurting and it's not inconsistent with that type of a dog, it's a nip. They do that all the time when they hurt.
I know that. I'm fully aware of how they are, but this was a bite.
A bite?
Yes. And then he actually said that dog had even bit his own...
So I probably spoke a little prematurely. It looks like that she's probably trying to get him back over a real estate deal that did not go through, and that is sad. And what I would say is I would caution men. I am not anti-doing business with women. However, I would caution men to be really cautious about the women you do business with. If there's business that needs to be done with a woman and you're married, you have a wife, it would be wise to allow your wife to negotiate on your behalf. And the reason being is because, sexual allegations can come up. A host of things could come up when you have opposite sex doing business with each other, right? And again, having a no-nonsense policy and not taking unnecessary risks, it would just, to me, it would behoove any man who is trying to do business and that business happens to be with a woman and you have a woman who can negotiate on your behalf, it would be better to use her as a vehicle for negotiating, or I wouldn't use her is the wrong word, but to utilize her as a negotiator on your behalf rather than negotiate with the woman directly. Again, some people are going to say that's sexist. I'm pretty sure women watching this video is going to say this is sexist because not all women are the same way, and that is absolutely true. However, it's not sexist what I'm saying. It's absolutely true that all women are not the same way. The point is that you don't have to take the unnecessary risk is the point that I'm making.
3-year-old twice.
Judge Brown, that's just ridiculous.
That's what he said. And
objection noted. Go ahead. Actually, it was a good place and form of objection. Go ahead.
But that's exactly what, and I know that that's what he said. And anyway, at that point, I said, I'm fine. I just want to get out of there. I got home, and I actually went to first pick up my daughter, who was at a babysitter's. And when I was there, even the babysitter, I said, I just got bit by a dog. I showed the babysitter, and I stayed there about a half an hour, and they iced my leg, or the babysitter did. And for the next couple days, I didn't do anything. I thought I was going to be fine. And then my leg, and I have submitted photos, my legs started swelling and went black and blue, and they are puncture wounds. I have 2 puncture wounds on my ankle. And I went to the doctor, and I had to have a tetanus shot because I had left.
That's a puncture wound I'm looking at. That's a bruised ankle here. That's
And
a red
2
and swollen
puncture
area.
wounds.
And I'm looking at 2, I guess, would be marks that would not be inconsistent with canine teeth, but they don't really
Well,
look like puncture wounds.
okay,
They look
I
like
will
you've
really-
got snag right there.
I'll just defer to what my medical bill shows.
Well, I'm looking for your medical report. I see a bill, but where is your medical report?
Well, it explains on the bill what was
Yeah, I know,
done.
but you see, in order to carry your burden, you usually have to show the physician's observations, diagnosis, prognosis, description of treatment, etc. And I noted there's radiology that's been done here. I don't have a copy of any x-rays or any report on that. Apparently there's no breaking of bones or a chipping
No,
of
there was
bones.
not a
I have
broken bone.
office visit, but I don't have anything that explains to me what occurred to you physically.
Well, that's what I was given by Kaiser, so...
Well, it's up to you to ask.
Well,
Pardon my interruption, Judge O'Brown. We've never seen this until today.
Madam Sonia, would you be so kind?
Thank you.
I would just like to clarify, those were puncture wounds. You
Well,
cannot
I
stitch
don't
it.
have anything
Oh,
that says that.
she's adamant about those being puncture wounds. I think the excuse me. I think the biggest issue is, I mean, this could have been simply cleared up. I didn't quite catch the price of everything that was done to her medically, but I mean, he instead of going to court, it was like, look, can I make payments to you so we can get this cleared up? And no, I no longer need your services. It's like, guys, don't let things get out of hand when you can clear them up early. Okay, you can clear them up early. Don't wait till I mean, this guy's probably missing a day of work to deal with this foolishness. You see what I'm saying? So it just makes sense to me that we would just handle it early and make remedy, right? That way we don't cause further chaos to our lives. It just makes sense to me.
Okay.
Now, what is this about you lost out on a sale, a closing,
Right.
because this family had 3 dogs and you were terrified?
Well, let me just back up. I
Wow,
have been
wow.
doing animal rescue for about 20 years. And I
Good
know
for
how
you.
to handle dogs and cats. I'm very comfortable around animals. The only reason I didn't take the next sale, that was ironically a call from a home in Mar Vista nearby. She has 3 border collies. They are herding dogs also. I just did not want to even attempt to try to go over there after I had just been bid a few weeks earlier. And I referred it over to another agent who has the property in escrow now, and she has submitted a notarized affidavit to that effect.
Ah, so she's suing him because she allowed herself to be freaked out from being herded by this dog, who nipped her to hurt her in the direction that he wanted her to go. And she's familiar with these concepts, and she's dealt with animal rescue. It's kind of it doesn't really add up, and I think Judge Joe Brown is showing that. I think the biggest issue, again, when we talk about men against nonsense, is that this guy could have just cleared this up, and it would have never gotten this far if he would have just asked, hey, what were the medical damages? Can I make payments to satisfy that for you? And went on about his business and found a different real estate agent.
Go to you. What have you got to say about this one? What happened from your perspective?
Judge O'Brown, I think this is just a classic shakedown. We interviewed Mrs. Fowler and along with about 7 other agents, and that day when she came in, we, had a nice interview. We walked around the house, and one of my back rooms was my dog Jackson, and when we opened the door, she's like, "Oh, you have a dog. Oh, he's beautiful. I've got 4 or 5 dogs myself. I love dogs. Please let him out." And I'm like, I like to keep him in because he's a barker. When he doesn't know people, he will bark.
They have a lot of energy, they heard.
Yeah. So basically, she convinced me to let him out. We let him out. They played fetch for at least 15 minutes, back and forth. Everything was great. When the interview was over, She got up. We were all walking to the door. I heard her go, ouch. We all turned around. We looked, she said that she'd gotten nip. We looked down. We were like, oh, my gosh, I'm so sorry. This is not, it was a shock to us. But, we offered ice because I did see on her ankle, which I would like to address that photo.
Yes, put that back up, please.
So on that photo, what I saw was a little bit of swelling and what looked like a scratch. There was no blood. And that red area that you see on the ankle, that's what I saw. Those 2 puncture wounds, those weren't there. So I have no idea where those came from. I don't know.
Interesting.
If those are markers,
Interesting.
I have no idea what that is. But the point is that she was like, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. Like, do you want an ice pack? No, I'm totally fine, I'm totally fine.
Well, hold it, folks.
Yes.
How long after this was or were these pictures taken?
That is about 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Yes.
Whoa. 2 weeks. 2 weeks? Yeah, she's running game. So, hey, guys, look. I don't think there's any reason to even go further. Listen, be careful who you do business with, guys. Try to vet individuals that you're going to do business with before you actually meet them in person and put them in situations where they could do things like this and take advantage of you. Point number 2 is, again, if you're going to do business with a woman, I recommend that you negotiate through another woman for safety's sake. Just for safety's sake. And I'm gonna leave this one here because I already know where this goes. Judge Joe Brown is not gonna award her anything. Anyway, guys, if you like this content, subscribe, share, press that like button. There's support links in the description below. I'll catch you guys on the next one.